So let's continue on with Leviathan, who lives in the great deep. Remember the great deep that burst forth in Genesis? He lives in there. He is so strong that only God can control him. The gods are scared of him when he rises up out of the water, the great deep, and he crashes. The gods are afraid and they go inside. They are beside themselves. This is what ancient Israel believed about the flood. The floods, the waters were dangerous on their own, and then you got Rahab, sea monsters, and Leviathan. God releases his restraining power, pulls back his face, pulls back his spirit. Chaos, worldwide flood. This is how you would have understood this if you were in ancient Israel reading the flood story. This was your worldview. Their worldview is not our worldview. With this paradigm, with this model, God doesn't send the flood. Evil powers send the flood when God withdraws. God is not the direct active agent of violence, but whatever God allows is described as him actively doing. That's the worldview. So you can see all this coming together here, right? Let's continue on with Leviathan. When he raises himself up, Isaiah 27:1 English Standard Version says this: "In that day the Lord with his hard and great and strong sword will punish Leviathan." He's the only one who can do it. Even the gods are scared. He will punish Leviathan. Who is the Leviathan? The fleeing serpent. He will slay the dragon that is in the sea. What? Leviathan now is identified as the serpent and the dragon. Leviathan is the serpent and the dragon. Where have we read this before? The book of Revelation now identifies Leviathan. Revelation 12:9. You ready? "And the great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent who is called the devil and Satan." The dragon, who is the ancient serpent, dragon, serpent, who is called the devil and Satan. What's Leviathan called? Isaiah 27:1. "In that day the Lord will, with his hard and great and strong sword, punish Leviathan, the fleeing serpent, and will slay the dragon that is in the sea." The serpent, the dragon, is the devil and Satan. John has now lifted the veil. Leviathan is the one who causes worldwide damage. It's the devil and Satan that even the sons of God, the gods, are scared of. They are beside themselves. He is so powerful. And later on in Revelation chapter 12, it says, "Woe to the earth and sea, because the devil has come down to you with great wrath and power. He hits the earth and the sea." Leviathan is the devil himself. Now this makes sense. And I'll tell you something else. In Revelation 20, verses 1-3, it says that the devil is locked up in the bottomless pit so he can't get the nations. Did you know that the Greek word abusos, bottomless pit, is the exact same Greek equivalent of the Hebrew word for deep? Yes, for deep. Leviathan lives in the deep, the bottomless pit, the abyss. Leviathan is Satan, who is the murderer from the beginning. And he lives in, and God constrains him, restrains him in the Old Testament. He can still rise himself up, remember, and crash, and it makes the gods go nuts. But God controls him, restrains him. He is that powerful that if he's released, he causes massive disaster. In the water, for one thing. It's the devil. This was the way they knew of the devil in the Old Testament. Leviathan. He is a murderer from the beginning, Jesus said. He is violent. He comes only to kill, steal, and destroy, Jesus said. And when he is released, the restraining comes off. When God steps back, the violent one releases violence on the violent. They reap what they sow. You see what happens when we take the whole biblical picture into view. God did not send the flood. He held the devil back. He restrained him, the Leviathan who lives in the deep. And then when the world gave itself over to violence, they gave themselves over to the devil, the murderer, the one who comes kill, steal and destroy. In Revelation 9 to 11, in the New Living Translation, the devil is called the destroyer. Are you getting it? Now, ancient Israel didn't know about the devil the way we do. It's much clearer under the New Covenant. Now that Jesus and the apostles and John lift the veil and we can see what's going on. And now you're ready for the slam dunk? Leviathan is the serpent and the dragon is called the devil. Look what Leviathan does in Revelation 12:15. The devil, Leviathan. Same. Revelation 12:15, English Standard Version. Look. The serpent, the dragon, the devil. Oh. The serpent poured water. Who pours water, folks, according to John? The veil is being lifted, guys. It's getting very clear. The serpent poured water like a river. Water, river. The serpent, Leviathan, the dragon, the devil. He pours water, not God. God restrains, the devil pours. The serpent poured water like a river out of its mouth after the woman to sweep her away with a flood. The Christian church has given God a bad name, that he actively sent the flood to kill the world. That is not what happened. Let me read you a couple of sentences and bring the flood to conclusion, and then we'll move on to what Jesus said about the wrath of God. Ancient Israel would have understood the flood as the unleashing of chaotic, violent, cosmic powers, Leviathan, Rahab, other sea monsters, which we identify as the devil. Against the world they were released, which was given over to violence. God restrains these forces, but when he steps back, they wreak havoc. What else do we know about Satan in the Old Testament? In the book of Job, chapter 1, verse 16, fire of God fell from heaven and burned up the sheep and the servants. God allowed it, but Satan did it, and they called it the fire of God. Satan sends it. In that story, he can touch the heavens and the skies. He can impact the skies. And what Satan does, what God allows, is attributed to God. It's fire from God. God didn't do anything in the story. You know the story. Satan did. So Satan can affect the skies and the earth. He can even affect the weather. Job 1:18-19. A great wind. Satan sent the wind. A great wind came across the wilderness and struck the house, and it fell on the young people, and they're dead. So Satan can bring down fire from heaven. He can affect the skies. Satan can affect the wind. That's called the weather. You see what's going on here? God doesn't do it. In the Old Testament pattern, God allows it. And so what God allows is described as him actively doing. And Jesus saying, no, God didn't allow it. Satan is a rogue. He's a maverick. He's a loose gun. And he doesn't work with cooperation. God says, okay, you can do this. Not at all. And we're going to get into that. In the flood narrative, God withdraws. All hell breaks loose. Simple. In summary, and we're finishing the flood here. The ancient Hebrews understood the flood as the unleashing of cosmic chaos. Rahab, Leviathan, other violent powers. They lived in the waters, stirring storms and waves. God restrains these forces, protecting humanity. But when he withdraws his presence, hiding his face, the chaotic powers are released. The flood was not a direct act of divine violence, but a consequence of God stepping back and allowing the destructive powers of the deep to surge, powers that the earth was seeking after. This framework shows a consistent biblical theme. God controls chaos, but when he removes his restraint, destruction follows, a pattern visible in the flood and other biblical accounts of destruction. Fire coming down from heaven onto Sodom and Gomorrah. Hello? Job says Satan brings down the fire from heaven. I could go through all the passages now and read them with these lenses, but I'll let you do that. We're now going to move over into the New Testament, and we're going to see that the wrath of God concept of God letting go, there's continuity and there's discontinuity. The discontinuity will be, Jesus will say, yes, the devil comes to kill, steal, and destroy. He makes people sick. He makes people blind from birth, but he never does it with divine permission. And that's where we're going to in the New Testament. In summary, God did not send the flood. God bless you.